downstairs.
I'll show the video and then question the brochures that way.
Yeah, guys, I see this microphone.
Yes, Ann Talvita, since I just saw her take a mouthful. Can't hear you.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So much. Approval of the minutes, November 5th.
Sure.
second.
Anything on the question? All in favor? Correspondence. Let's welcome Mr. Zeddy back. Please somebody tell him how well and efficiently I ran the last meeting.
Welcome back, Zebby.
I mean, we can tell you, but it ain't gonna be real long.
Correspondence from EC South Campus course applications. Correspondence from Erie County EMS course applications for electromedical services, course applications, ECC South, course applications, cardiac life PAD application for the New York State Liquor Authority was resubmitted again a week later, and more course applications from Erie County EMS. That should all be distributed to you. Okay, I make a motion to suspend the rules.
Do I have a second? Do I have a second? Any question? One question? I'd like to suspend the rules for a moment. Is that okay? All right. We have Greg and Clayton from Zoll. They're good enough to talk about doing a little presentation for us. It'll be interesting. We'll view it, take it back. And I'm just going to turn it right over. So feel free to you guys to do it.
Okay.
Clayton?
My name is Clayton York. I'm an EMS representative with Zoll. This is Greg Vanderhorst. He's with Zoll also, but he's with our Life Vest division. And I actually bumped into Greg at a meeting the other night and told him that we had a wearable defibrillator now. Zoll actually acquired this company several years ago, and it's now being used in this community. So we're trying to educate EMS providers so that when you get on scene, you know what the device is, what to do with it, and you want to leave it in place. So I asked Greg to come in and talk to you a little bit about the Life Vest, to show you what it is, and then if you have any questions, you can ask him. It takes us about 15 minutes to go through it. All right, thanks.
Hi guys, how you doing? I'm gonna make it easy. I'm gonna do a quick video. So in the area, this product's been out about 8 years. Dr. Heilman invented it with a guy, Dr. Morowski. My background, I sold ACDs and pacemakers, so I'm a device junkie. So it was in the body, and it's gonna shock you. That's kind of my thing. You guys are on the other side. But so probably 2-3 years ago in the area, there's probably like, I was doing probably maybe 3, 4, 4 or 5 a month. People would go home with this Life Vest, and now it's up to like 30, 35. Currently in the area, there's probably about 65. Just in this great area, right around South Wales, East Aurora, there's probably about 10 folks with it. So our protocol is, after I show it to you, is if the patient gets therapy, so with an ICD, what the physicians will tell a patient with an ICD is they'll say, listen, if you get shocked once, that's fine, you're okay. You get shocked again, go to the hospital. With our device, we tell them, go right to the hospital. And you know, many times if they live alone, they'll probably call you guys. And I'll go through the device, and you guys have lots of questions about what to do, because you guys always are, you know, you want to fix stuff, and you want to change stuff. So I've got brochures. I apologize, I usually have, I can show it to you, but I had an ED patient up in Newfane last night that I had to break my system, so I don't have a complete system, so I apologize. And UPS was a good thing to get it today. But I'm going to show you this video real quick. It'll kind of run through the soups and, you know, nuts and bolts, and then I'll show you a brochure. I'll hand those out while I'm doing this. Oh, the volume brochure. That's the only thing I don't have is the volume. on the side they have the electrodes that go all the way around the belt, right? So it's a Holter monitor and a life vest, so it can monitor you 24/7. Right there, they're showing the vibrating electrode that'll warn the guy. There's VT at a rate about 190, and it'll sense, detect, and take a full minute to treat, which is forever. And
warn the patient
as you
and
go.
bystanders of a possible treatment shock. During this time, if the patient is conscious, they are instructed to press and hold the response buttons, which are found in the top corner of the life vest monitor. The response buttons prevent a treatment shock from being delivered. Please note that only the patient should press the response buttons. If, however, the patient is unconscious, the sequence will run through a 5-second vibration alert, followed by a low single-tone siren, which is broadcast for 5 seconds, followed by 5 seconds of loud 2-tone sirens. The device then transitions to voice prompts accompanying the 2-tone siren. In order to quickly and effectively care for a patient wearing the life vest, it is important to understand the different alerts and voice prompts that may be broadcast from the device. If the life vest device is silent when you arrive on the scene, the device may be monitoring the patient's heart rhythm. If, however, you arrive on the scene and you hear a single-tone alert or a gong from the life vest, the device may be alerting the patient to follow instructions displayed on the monitor screen. In some instances, the gong alert may also be accompanied by a voice prompt.
Treatment has been given. Call your doctor.
Or,
Contact physician.
in these situations, you should proceed with standard evaluation and treatment measures. If external defibrillation is available, a decision can be made to remove the life vest and monitor or treat the patient with your own external monitoring and defibrillation equipment. To disable the life vest, simply pull out the battery. You can then unclasp the hooks at the front of the garment and remove the device. If you arrive on the scene and the life vest is broadcasting alerts or voice prompts, it is important to pay close attention to these messages. Audible 2-tone siren alerts and voice prompts may indicate that the patient has been treated or is still in the process of being treated. You may hear the 2-tone siren alerts accompanied by one of these prompts.
If patient is not responsive, call for help. Perform CPR.
Or,
Device disabled. Call ambulance.
these prompts mean that the life vest may be detecting an untreatable rhythm, such as asystole, is unable to detect an ECG signal, or may have delivered the maximum number of treatment shocks in a treatment sequence. In these situations, proceed with your standard evaluation and treatment measures. You may decide to disable and remove the life vest and use your own monitoring and defibrillation equipment. Again, to disable the life vest, simply pull out the battery, then unclasp the hooks at the front of the garment and remove the device. If the life vest has detected a ventricular arrhythmia and is preparing to treat the patient, the 2-tone siren alerts will be accompanied by this voice prompt.
Electrical shock possible. Do not touch patient. Bystanders, do not interfere.
When the life vest is in this mode, an electrical shock will be delivered between 25 and 60 seconds after the treatment sequence begins, depending on the type and rate of the arrhythmia and whether the patient presses the response buttons. Please note that you can be shocked if you are touching the patient when the shock is delivered. Do not touch the patient when the life vest is in this mode. Allow the life vest to complete the treatment sequence and shock the patient. The device will broadcast when it has completed the treatment sequence. The sirens will stop and you will hear the following instructions.
Treatment has been given. Call your doctor.
Blue gel on the patient's chest and back is an indication that the patient may have been treated. The life vest deploys blue gel prior to delivering a treatment shock. The purpose of the gel is to improve shock conduction and minimize burning. This gel should remain on the patient as long as they continue to wear the life vest. However, if you choose to remove the life vest and monitor the patient with your external equipment, the gel can be removed using water. The life vest system is a wearable defibrillator that continuously monitors the heart rhythm, rapidly detects sudden cardiac arrest, and responds by defibrillating the heart back to a normal rhythm. If you are required to treat patients wearing the life vest, pay close attention to any alerts or voice prompts that may be broadcast, and remember, you may proceed with standard evaluation and treatment measures as you deem necessary. Zoll provides 24-hour technical support for patients and healthcare professionals. For any questions about the life vest or dealing with life vest patients, please call us at 1-800-543-3267. You can also learn more about the life vest by visiting www.zoll.com.
So that's it. A lot of it, why does the life vest go on? I don't want to take more of your time because I know you got busy stuff. But the reason they put the life vest on people is because 15 years ago, they used to put ICDs and pacemakers right in after open heart pacemakers. They said, guy needs one. They found through these landmark clinical trials that they created these waiting periods. So that's why the vest came into play, because the waiting periods are out there. You cannot put an ICD in a patient. There's different waiting periods. Like suddenly, if you have dilated cardiomyopathy, it's 90 to 270 days. So that's why it's more popular. The rise of this, I think, besides the fact they want to protect the patients, is also physicians want to cover their behind, because cardiac surgeons and stent guys, cardiologists, they get kicked on mortality data. If they walk out the door after they have a stent put in and get hit by a car, it hits their mortality data, it hits their malpractice insurance. So this is, all the guys tell me, I'm going to protect my work electrically. They can't, I can't account for the plumbing piece. The device will not do backup Brady pacing, which is what a lot of people do, because a lot of times you guys, if you ever thumped anybody, they don't come back right away. There is a risk for not, so you have to do resuscitation. But I don't know if you guys have seen them. You got any questions? Feel free, because I don't want to take a lot of time. I hope that covered it pretty much for you guys. Make sense?
I got a couple, and if I missed it,
Sure.
I'm sorry, but you said it doesn't cardiovert doesn't pace.
It can cardiovert if you're an AFib and it's going to hit you for, more than likely it won't do that because the patients have the ability to divert therapy. So you're saying cardiovert VF, VT? Or you're saying cardiovert like AFib?
Cardiovert as opposed to defibrillate.
Oh.
So if they had a ventricular tachycardia, would it?
Oh yeah, it's biphasic shock, 150 joules lower level and 200 high end. It's got that Zoll patented biphasic shock, so that's why we don't have competitors. Well, it's a big deal because
But it won't pace.
it won't pace. We've gone from our division started off 20 million. We'll do 320 million this year. And if you don't think that biphasic patent isn't important, I'd have 20 competitors, but I have none.
Normally what happens about shocking people, the question comes up from providers about incidental shocks.
Inappropriate shocks.
Incidental, like
Yeah.
I'm treating the patient,
Right.
it defibrillates. A lot of people are concerned about the
Shock.
shock.
Yeah.
Studies that are wrong.
Well, you've seen the inappropriate shock. So we rate conversion of cardio defibrillation. We look at two things: sensitivity, specificity. All the landmark trials on the implantables look at the same thing. How accurate does it treat it? So the algorithm is evolved. It looks at the width of the QRS, how wide it is. It looks at the rate, and then it has this algorithm that puts 5 data points. It ensures that it's not going to inappropriately shock for AFib, ATACI. So the number we look at is 99% accurate. I had one last night, first time ever. He got shocked while he's driving a car. He hit the buttons to divert it. He said he hit the buttons. I don't know. He got to hit both buttons. But anyway, he got shocked driving a car. The guy next to him who was in the car, he grabbed the wheel. It worked out. But that's the first time I ever had anything like that happen. So 99% of the time, the patient goes into VT. It's a full minute. So they'll pass out. They'll be on the floor. They'll thump them. I'll get a call saying, I don't know what happened. I got blue jello all over. I don't think they call the ambulances a lot. Most of my patients get ridden into the hospital by, oh no, I'm just saying, have you guys seen any Zola? I don't know.
I'm saying the providers can be upset about that.
I just don't know. I mean, I don't know. Most times I'll get called to the ER like I did last night, and he got brought in by his buddy or whatever, or family.
I'm not explaining my question. a lot of providers that are treating a patient. Now, if I'm taking him to hospital, he has the best on, and I'm treating him next to him. A lot of providers worry about an incidental shock to themselves, not the patient.
Yeah, if they're on,
It's possible.
yeah, they'll get conducted, absolutely. If they're touching the patient.
But there's prompts to tell you to stay clear.
Right.
Yeah, you got a little warning there.
Yeah, yeah.
And as far as the shocks and sequence of shocks, is that programmed for the individual?
Yes. I'll meet with the physician, and usually, depending on age, whatever they present in the hospital, if they're pro-rhythmic in the hospital, and they're having some non-sustained runs of VT and the rates of, 20, 30 beats, but he's a young guy, they'll program it higher. Usually nominally it's 150 and 200. Those are two rates.
I guess the last thing, what I saw was there's about 25 seconds of prompting, and then it goes into shocking.
Yeah.
Is it the same when they're sleeping there? Because I know with the CPAP or anything else I can hang on, I never hear it.
Oh, you hear it. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's real loud. Radio voice guy, really loud.
Okay. I could just see my wife turning off the audio.
No. Well, I had a couple that the wife didn't want it. The guy, and they slept in separate bedrooms down the hall, and she heard it, woke up, and the alarm said, and he woke up, and he didn't know what was going on. I got this. I'm telling you, in the area, 180. We did 192 last year in Greater Buffalo. I had 8 that went off. All 8 called me up and said, I don't know what the hell happened, but I got blue crap all over my chest. I had a farmer in Alden. You'd like this story. It's fall season, he's harvesting. He's on the tractor. We tell them up front, don't do anything mechanical, but he's a farmer. They do what they do. So I knew he wasn't going to listen, but. So he's on a big tractor, he's cutting his harvesting his corn, and his wife looks out and he's cutting the field the wrong way. He's passed out, and it's a full minute, so he's cutting it the wrong way. She's more mad, like, what? You ruined the crop. Shocked him, brought him back. I mean, for me, that's why I love the job. It's a good, feel-good story. I don't know. It was a good crop. It was a good year this year. Yeah, exactly. Well, he could have, but most times, like I said, they'll come to the ER by family members. If you guys get them, the challenge for you have to figure out where I figure it's going to be. Do I want to put tele on? Of course you do. You're going to have to move around the electrode belts and find spots to do it. Is it contraindicated with tele? No. So you can have both. So you can do that.
Are these waterproof?
No.
The patient's wet, take them off.
Yeah. I had a guy who went to swimming class and he put the monitor thing on as he did his, and with a belt in the water. I have no idea why he didn't get nailed, but he didn't. So, but no, I would say no, waterproof. They wear it underneath your clothes, so you got to have that sealed.
Is it an obvious? So if I'm wearing it, it's pretty obvious I have something on.
No, I mean you saw that sales aid. Look at that guy. You can't really tell. I've had guys golf with it and stuff. It's not.
Like a medical bracelet on it?
Nope.
Looks like a bro. You can't tell me I'm wearing it.
Yeah. That's right. The Seinfeld episode comes into play there. The man's zero.
It's small now. It's small, but it's small. Power pack, yeah.
I mean, how many chances do you have? Right now you have 55 in the area. I don't know. Usually the family members, they know their patients are high cardiac risk, and they're pretty. But if they live alone, you could see one for sure. I mean, just know it's not contraindicated for tele. You could throw tele on them. You wouldn't have to worry about running the code because that thing will treat. I had a patient in Clarion, Pennsylvania, lived next to the hospital, snowstorm, post-dialysis, shocked. Her husband kept on changing the battery, so it'll shock 6 times with one battery. It shocked her 27 times, appropriately. And in the ambulance, the husband was there just changing the batteries out as they wore down. Yeah. Well, the issue was VT storms. They should have put the VT storms under control, but they didn't. They didn't know how to do it. But like I said, they'll shock 6 times. And we tell them, and it didn't burn her either, even though there's that gel. But sure.
This is interesting. Let's see if I get a demo.
I feel bad I don't have one. Clay's going to beat me up because I didn't have a demo, but I
Does it records everything it does?
24/7. Yep.
So when they transfer to an ambulance and they might take them off of that onto their own, or they transport the patient with the bed onto the hospital, for record keeping for the ambulance, is there a way to get a copy of the history to attach to the PCR?
Yeah, it's the recording. Well, the recording is overwriting, so it's the only time it's going to record is if you hit those buttons, manual buttons, or if it delivers therapy. It will record that event. It'll hold up to 75 minutes of stored electrograms. But the patient's gotta have it. Do I have a real time? No. It's only if it hits parameters that it has programmed in the device. And the parameters are programmed very high, and like I said, it'll do an asystole alert. If the patient brady's down and gets 20 beats at 10 beats per minute, if it hits that, you'll get an alarm, asystole, call ambulance.
I guess, like, right, what do you do when you have an AED that's used prior to your arrival? Do you just take the word, or?
If we can download, we'll do a download later with the IRs, and we'll attach them post hoc to the record, but generally they're not part of our record at all.
Yeah, I'll probably have a record. I'll have a record of that event at the home. I have one when it came in an ambulance, and I printed it out to show the home, but in the transport I didn't have anything to help.
I believe there's Wi-Fi now, right, where you can actually download the call. You're close enough to the device, it'll
Right.
send the data to the physician, but there's no way to download it to like an EPCR right
Yeah,
now.
there's a bedside monitor that comes with it. It downloads daily. The reason I had trouble up in Newfane was it's AT&T based, so the signal wasn't real strong. So, but I have to have that console. Once I have that, I can get the download.
But it being transmitted Bluetooth, or do you have to get another machine?
No, it's Bluetooth. Usually, and we can do analog, we can do a landline, but that takes forever. But usually what will happen is I'll get called, as soon as the patient gets hit, it goes out to my phone, and I'm like, patient has therapy. So then I know, then I'll get a call from the ER, hey, the guy's here, and I'm said, did he bring his bedside monitor? 99% of the time they don't. So then I go to the hospital with a bedside monitor, and then I get that down. But for you guys in transport, I didn't, probably couldn't help you.
If you give Greg a demo, can we get a remote?
I think it should be part of the meeting. Second, aye. But if there's any other questions, if you got any questions about ICDs and pacemakers, I'm a junkie, so What's that?
Is Cialis okay with it?
Yes. Well, that's, surprisingly, all the patients, that's like the fourth question. Can I have sex with you? And I say, I don't,
Might liven it up.
This is kind of some of the facts you'll see. These are just stats on where it is. It's pretty popular now. I mean, to grow that fast, you're going to see it more and more. And for me, my company hates saying that. I would. It's like wearing a crash cart, right? So it'd be a great thing to have in the hospital. I mean, you wouldn't even have to have tele, right? You have a high-risk patient, just put this thing on and leave them alone all the time. But we don't sell it that way. So the patients lease this. They rent the product.
Right? Medicare covers it, buddy, you're outside.
It's covered by Medicare, Medicaid, so uninsured, we work that out too. We're a pretty good company. I wouldn't work if we did things. We treat everybody with or without funds, so.
If anyone's interested in doing training for the department, the video that we just showed, you can actually go to the Zoll LifeVest website and you can download that video. Okay. We also have a lot of information that you can use for handouts. We have pocket cards that you can give the medics. We have some posters that you can actually hang up in the station. And if you want training for your individual department, Greg can actually come out and do that as well. Right, Greg?
But he's got to pay me though, right?
We're trying to educate the communities just so you know what it is. So if you have any questions, you can call me or call Greg.
And I'll bring food on his budget, right? I don't know. I don't know what place. Thank you guys for your time.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Alright. Can we continue? Go back to regular meeting? Need a motion. Second? All in favor?
You don't need a motion.
Security report, Mr. Williams was unable to make it tonight. He did have two requests, it was prohibited. I'd like to hold off, voting on it until next meeting, because there's a couple questions that have popped up. He does have two expenditures that he's, like to make, $2,500 to the stress debriefing, and, $266 to the post office box. It's budgeted amount, so I don't think that we, I'll let him know he can go along with that. Medical Advisory Committee? State Council, the mayor, isn't the State Council? Next week.
Meetings next week.
Erie County, John in greener pastures. In the 5 business days he hasn't been with the county, he's only come back 3 and visited.
He's slowing down a little bit.
Yeah, he slowed down a little. And, for those who are interested, his position is posted on the web. Feel free to apply. Anything else for your county? Wyoming County. Mr. Stryker couldn't make it tonight, but do you have any?
We did use the stress debriefing multiple times over the past month. A couple of serious EAs worked out very well, and it was very successful. That's it for now.
Western New York stress, Mr. Oh, sorry, anything else for your Wyoming County? I'm sorry, moving right along. Picking up with the goals. Western New York stress, Mr. Adolph's not here tonight. He retired. I guess he wants to maintain a member of the council, which is very good.
Who does?
Johnny Adolph.
Okay.
We had a meeting Monday night, but I couldn't make it, so.
I'm sorry.
We had a meeting Monday night, but I
The
was.
stress.
What time was the stress?
Thanks. But we will set them. Okay. Committee reports, budget. What you doing, budget? Article 30. Membership, Ms. Lapp, you're on.
I have expired memberships from Carol Staffel, I did not hear back from. Dan Rogers, who said he'd stay on unless we replace him, thank you very much. And, Anthony Ballister, is he still a member?
Yes, and he has to be excused tonight. He broke a tooth, a molar.
Oh.
3 places. He has root canal coming. He told me.
So I assume he wants to stay on the council then if he calls you?
Yeah. What we can do is we can contact the 3 and give them 30 days to submit something.
I sent him the same email I sent you and I hadn't heard from them, so.
We just sent one more that said you have 30 days for a review book.
Sure.
And then we'll, if anybody has members that, potential members, bring up their hands.
So we'll have some openings.
Attention. Anything else for membership?
That's it.
And you're doing a marvelous job.
Those 2 from the county.
CON from John, he related nothing, in the works. Okay, he hasn't reported anything, so we'll move on. Training Ed, Mr. Zamrak.
Applications were received and filed and nothing was out of ordinary, so.
Applications received. Anything for Mr. Zamrak? Have you been contacted by Neil about the training plan or anything like that? No. Because we're required to submit our budget for this year and we might be behind, so I'll talk to him and, get with contact. Has he talked to you at all about all that stuff that we throw in? I'll try to get it, because we're late, we're behind. Okay, pretty sure I forwarded him another email, but he's back and forth. Bylaws, Mr. Glass.
Nothing at this time.
Awards, Mr. Gill. Nothing. Program agency. That's showstopper.
I won't throw the anchor board. I think we're too bad today. ECMC's been doing a number of EMS outreach dinners over the last several months. The last 2, one was in Wyoming County. In Veresburg, very well attended, as well as the one in Hamburg at Michael's Banquet Facility. The topic there happened to be behavioral emergencies. Each session had just over 100. We were at about 105 in Veresburg, and the one in Hamburg was right around, I think, 115. So very well attended. That's what happens when you give free food and booze to people. I guess they actually show up for CME events. But anyway, so they're going to continue to do that to the best of my understanding. We have an EMS officer training course that's coming up, and that's going to be on February 7th. If you've attended or you know people who have attended in the past, this year's going to be just a little bit different. We've sort of run the same CAN program over the last 2 or 3 years. It's time to switch it up a little bit, and so we have done that this year. Alma has assured me that there's going to be heat, and for anyone who was there last year, knows that it was about 42 degrees in the fire hall. I was sick for 4 days afterward. It was not a pleasant experience. But Alma has assured me that that's going to happen. I would encourage you to come. There's going to be some There's going to be some information that's presented not only about things that are going on with the spinal immobilization initiative that's moving forward, and we'll see how that plays out next week, but also there's going to be more on the REMAC credentialing and that kind of stuff. So I would encourage you to attend. We're going to be sending out a New Year update packet to all the EMS agencies in Erie and Wyoming County. This is a packet where we're just trying to get up-to-date information on who's in charge, what your contact information is for emails, phone numbers, that kind of stuff. We really haven't done this in a while. I'm not a big believer in mailing things because it inevitably goes into the vortex, and we never hear anything from people who spend 6 months trying to chase things down. Please spread the word to your membership. This thing should be going out by midweek next week. Spread the word not only to your agencies, but to your neighboring agencies to be looking for this. It's going to have a bunch of information in it, not only about contact information. It's going to have a list of everyone who we have registered with your agency to make sure that that's up to date, along with their expiration dates. It's going to have a flyer in there about the EMS officer course. We're going to give a PCR history report, submission report. A lot of agencies like to know, have we submitted? Are we behind? Where's that at? Our contract is a little softer on that now, so we're not out beating people over the head with a stick. But we do need to stay on top of it to make sure that agencies aren't getting 3 and 6 months behind. And then last but not least, we want to encourage people to join our email list because that's how we can really most improve communication. The stroke information changed effective January 1st. We need to make sure that on our suspected stroke cases that we're documenting the Cincinnati pre-hospital stroke score, the time of EMS pre-notification to the stroke center, as well as the date and time the patient was last known well. This is important, an important piece in the patient care world. It's really important to stroke centers that have that designation because they are being held accountable as the standard now that they need to have all this stuff documented in their charts. So just like we need information for trauma, now we need it for strokes and cardiac and everything else that's out there. Bunch of different announcements were set out. There's some upgrades from intermediate to paramedic and some new policies. And then last but not least, Mike Krupski from Armor now is a part-time employee with the Office of Pre-Hospital Care. We've brought Mike on in a part-time capacity. He's going to be helping out with some voids that we had. One of the things was the pre-service inspections, which is something that we do in conjunction with the Bureau to try to go out to agencies before they have their full service inspection, make sure that their policies are in place, go through everything in the agency, and give them some suggestions for improvement so that they don't end up with statements of deficiency, and most importantly, identify the gaps in the agency to try to make some improvements there. That is one piece of it. That's probably the smallest piece of what he's going to do. The biggest piece is he is going to be doing really managing much of the REMAC credentialing and provider privilege program. And by that I mean we're going to be going out and doing some evaluations in agencies to try to make sure that they really understand what they need to be keeping in terms of their records within the agency. It's not anything punitive. It's meant to really just go out and, just like a pre-inspection, evaluate how your record keeping has been specific to this program, and then give you suggestions as to how you can, make adjustments in your record keeping. But the most important piece to that is we're going to be scheduling skills workshops, which are going to be sort of these localized areas that you can go to complete your required annual skills. So if you're unable to do it, you don't have preceptors in your agency, or you have limited training opportunities where you can get your quarterly skill, or your, old habits die hard, annual skills checked off. Mike is going to be setting these up at various locations throughout Erie and Wyoming County over the coming months, and that will help providers to give them more opportunities to get their skills checked off. And we're going to be asking and reaching out to people who've taken the preceptor class if they are interested in helping out with something like that. I mean, it's really just kind of a, we're all kind of in this together kind of a thing, and I guess we're just trying to make it a little bit easier for people, that's all. More opportunities. Questions?
Did you mention an instructor update coming up?
I did not.
Do you have one?
I do not. Yeah.
Your EMS conference coming up. Are you gonna be gracious enough for attendance to the council?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll do that again.
Trying to diplomatically put it out.
Yeah. Yeah, we will do that again.
No, I mean, it was a nice thing. I thought it was very, very nice.
Yep.
Okay, anything for Scott? Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.
Old business. New business. Well,
Two things I have is, we're gonna start doing unannounced practical skills audits, the final practical. And it came from Andy in Albany, Johnson. It's pretty thorough. My tool is 20 pages long to do the audit. It will be unannounced. It could be starting as early as
really?
early. And the other thing, coming down the pike is the narcotics license for the agencies. They need to have them by May 1st. And in this council area, there's 2 of them. Wyoming County Emergency Services needs their narcotics license, and the City of Tonawanda Fire needs their narcotics license. Yeah. Stuff was mailed last year to all these agencies. So supposedly, if you don't have your license by May 1st, you'll be dropped down to the advanced level.
The practical skills, is that the exam or practical skills in the class?
The final practical skills.
It would also include possibly the challenge for the research in the beginning, or just the
Any practical skills exam.
little getting in Orchard Park, like the.
Being unannounced.
There'll be
What
one,
did I say there, Greg?
there'll be one tomorrow night.
Notice the way I worked it, oh. Notice the way I worked that.
Can I get it in?
No.
Yeah, just appeared on my schedule. Well, the thing is that if you do change your practical skills exam, I went to do one this week, and the sponsor changed the date. I showed up and they decided to do it at a different date. They said they do it all the time. I go, well, that's not the way it's supposed to be done. When you give us a schedule, I mean, I went there and was ready to prepare to do an audit, and, oh, that's Saturday.
Check that GPS under your vehicle. You know when you are.
Do you need directions then, fire out there?
I have directions. I know how to find it. You know, the things, with the narcotics license, we're gonna need to get them in, I would say March or so, because in our entire region, we have 60 agencies. And to get 60 done, because we have to do an on-site inspection of the narcotics lockers and all that stuff, it's just, you know, we changed Ebola into flu, and I'm sure it'll change to something new next week. But, you know, we gotta get 60 agencies done by May 1st. We're lucky, this area, I only have 5 up north and 2 here. It's, in our southern tier, there's just a ton of them.
Jim, was City of Tonawanda, and who's the other one?
Wyoming County Emergency Services.
Well,
Well, they're using probably their other license, but they need to get their own license for this agency.
Correct.
The 0417.
I never thought of that number.
Yeah.
Because they're probably not have to come out of next.
What's that?
They're using one out of Rochester.
I'll bury no more, it won't get straightened out.
Yeah. They were set, I think, you know, they knew about it a year ago, you know. Just because it's through there and it's subcontracted out, it's still the onus, you know, back to them to have the license.
Do you know if that information gets sent to corporate?
It got sent to your office.
I don't
Yes.
think I've seen it.
It was like, I can give you the date and time. I said, it was like last May I sent the stuff, the whole packet, to your office, yes.
I'll have to get on Burp.
It's in that dead file, probably.
That's
I'm just trying to let people know, and I'll probably contact them again, you know. Because it goes from us to our B&E people, and you just don't get it real quick either, this license.
I believe the City of Tonawanda is in process, but that's.
Well, I've heard everybody's in process, but.
Well, I know, but they're, yeah,
Yeah,
we initiate the contract, so
I know.
yeah.
Anything for Mr. Mahal? Cheryl's not here tonight, but she asked me to bring patient refusal forms for Monroe, Livingston, and North Creek counties.
says is not true. She created a full-page thing about having medics that apparently don't want the questions to ask before they let the patient sign off, and then they just made this new one, and she wanted us to, I guess, talk about it, but I didn't see it.
Okay, so here goes, and you were at the meeting, so correct me if I get off base. I was in Hamburg at the last Wyoming meeting, so I didn't make it. So the REMAC many years ago implemented the half sheet of paper to use as supplement when somebody refused care, transport, whatever. That was done after a review of, by the attorney saying that the back of the PCR is really not sufficient enough to determine whether somebody understands what the risks are and so forth. So the half sheet was developed many, many years ago. We've been printing them. We continue to print them. They're duplicate forms. We've got 1,000 in our office. At the Wyoming County EMS Council meeting in December, Laura Dutton from Bliss had brought these other forms that are mentioned in our agenda and said that we no longer print those forms. That's just a misunderstanding, but that there were examples. One was from the WEREMSCO region and another one from another location. I looked at both of them. They both have the minimum information that you would need. The only thing I would say is that you got to make sure that before you adopt these other forms, number one, make sure that they've sort of been reviewed by somebody outside of your agency to make sure that it meets the minimum requirements for the REMAC. And then likewise, make sure your medical director's involved with it so they know what form you're using in your agency. Both of these forms exceed that standard. Twin City actually developed one many years ago, which was excellent. It was kind of a full-page landscape thing that was check the boxes. They understand, they can speak English, they're competent, and blah, blah, blah. Much of this, if you're in the electronic era, you're using electronic PCR, this thing's built right into it, and so it's a little bit of a moot point. It's the agencies that are still using paper, and like you say, these are okay. I personally would like to see the REMAC come up with something more comprehensive, but there's no sense in them putting the effort in developing something that's more comprehensive if there's already things that are out there and there's multiple versions of it. They're just designed to ask more questions, make the provider ask more questions of the provider to determine that the patient really has capacity to refuse and that they don't have any type of altered mental status and so forth. And that the patient really understands what the risks are that are associated with it. So I'm not sure why Cheryl asked to have it put on there, but that's sort of the story behind what happened.
I'll give a call and see if I can get more information. I probably should have called before the meeting, but I didn't have to.
I think Cheryl was going to bring it up, that's why.
I think her plan was to be here, but she couldn't. Mr. Shaw?
Would it be, I understand, Scott, what you're saying about REMAC reinventing the wheel, but is there a way the REMAC can take whatever's there and make one sheet for the region, so that if it, guy's going from one department to another, in the region, we're using the same, other than the electronic, which again, you said something totally different. But if we're dealing with multiple agencies, we happen to be on a different ambulance within the region, we're using the same paperwork. So we're not going off on this and using the half
A
sheets.
lot of
and
this
everything.
encompasses a complete PCR.
I agree, absolutely.
You got the PCR.
I just would like to see us use one form, I guess, just to keep everything standardized.
I guess we could ask them to endorse one and see what goes for.
Or at least state what the minimum amounts would need to be in a homegrown form.
We can bring that to them. Not all of us work for 7 agencies.
Wow, hurt my feelings.
What shirt you wearing then?
Don't worry about it.
All right, thanks a lot. Anything else in the business? Anything else for the organization here?
Move to adjourn.